Hey guys, welcome to another episode of What the Tech Am I Doing? Welcome to 2021. I hope everyone had a happy new year. So, today's session is going to be a little different. It's going to be an individual one talking about evaluating how you spend your time, what your values are, looking at your goals, and how we can best align them to make this your best year yet. So there's an important quote that I really like by Will Durant, and it says, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit." And here we're going to try to create good habits and see what we've been doing in the past and where we can improve in the future. So the first exercise is we're going to do a time evaluation. So we're going to look at how are you spending your time. So take a moment, grab a pen and paper, look at your days, your weeks, your months, look at 2020 as a whole. So in those evaluations, in your average day or week, how much time are you taking up doing certain activities? What takes up the most amount of your time? What do you do the most often? What's your mindset and mood during these activities? Are you noticing something's draining you? Are you noticing a higher energy during certain activities and not others? Maybe something's very repetitive. And this can be both during work or outside of work in your personal life, your relationships. There's 24 hours in a day, so I really want you to look at how you're spending those 24 hours. I'll give everyone a moment here. Pause your screen, complete this, and don't move on until you complete it. Okay. Hopefully you did the exercise. If you didn't, pause, finish the first one before you go on to the second one. We don't want to mix it up. But now we're on to exercise 2. So now we want to define your values. So what are your top 5 core values? So I gave a list of examples here, but this doesn't need to be the complete list. Maybe you have different words you prefer, or you've done this exercise before and they used a different vocabulary. But here's some that you can use and focus on. And by narrowing down your top 5 core values, it'll help you in the future to evaluate what is it that I truly value. I mean, you could value like 20 core things, but narrowing it down to 5 will help focus your attention to what is the most important for you and how you want to live your life based on those values. So again, pause the video here. If you're listening on the podcast, just think about what are your 5 core values. You can look up, there's lists on the website, or visit our YouTube. Okay, moving on to exercise 3, identifying your goals. What are your short-term goals? What are your long-term goals? Personally, professionally, these can be, try to make them attainable, like measurable things. So I want to have this much money by this date, or I want to do this many hours of community service by this date. So try and make them measurable so you can check them off when they're done. But there are some that maybe aren't as measurable in terms of just like living more in the present or being present or inner peace. And even if you say inner peace, it could be, what are you going to do to achieve that? So take a moment here. I really want you guys to think through these, and setting goals is very important because it goes back to like manifestation. So it's been proven that if you think of something consistently, not only are you more likely to get to that goal, but in your day-to-day, you're more likely to see things that will help you get to that goal. Take a car, for example. Say you're looking to buy a new Tesla, a white Tesla, right? When you're driving, you don't pay attention to all the white Teslas passing until you start to think about buying a new car. Now all of a sudden you're driving and you're like, why are there so many white Teslas on the road? I see them everywhere. There's, everywhere you're passing. Or likewise, if you just bought a new car, now you see that car everywhere. It's not that now that more cars more prevalent on the road all of a sudden, now that you're interested in it, it's that your mind now pays attention to that because it's something you have an interest in, something you're thinking about. Likewise, with your goals, even if it's a long-term goal and you keep reminding yourself of it, in day-to-day activities, your mind will think of ways that that activity in that specific day can help you achieve that goal. Or if you hear a conversation, you'll hear a conversation and you're like, wait, what were you guys saying? And maybe it aligns with your goals. So even I ran into someone at the grocery store and she started chatting with me, and it's the time of COVID, so you're keeping your distance, and normally I don't chat too much with people, but she started to say stuff about career development, and she was an entrepreneur, and we're going to try and get her on the podcast now that we've now made that new connection. But it's because in my mind I was thinking, I want more people on the podcast. I want more people with different abilities to share with the audience. And because of that, my mindset when I was at a grocery store was that I'm ready to make a new connection. And I made a new connection. So, a little soapbox speech, but it's very important to set your goals. So, take a moment. I'll be quiet for a little bit and set your goals. And you can just pause this until you're ready to move on. Okay. Last exercise. So what is the delta? We just did 3 exercises. First, you were able to evaluate, how am I spending my time? What is my energy levels during those? What's my mood? What's taking up the time in my day? Then you looked at what your values were. What are my top 5 values? And then you looked at your goals. So with all 3 of those in mind, hopefully they overlap. Ideally, how you're spending your day aligns with your values, which aligns with your goals. Now, they're not necessarily 100% overlap. If you're not your own boss, or, maybe you're still developing yourself, you're in school, maybe you don't enjoy one class over another, you're not going to 100% overlap all 3 of these. That's an ideal world, but you should have decent overlap. Like, these should not be, I'm spending all my time doing one thing which doesn't align to my values or my goals. And if that is the case, try and see how you can make them align, in your mind even, without even changing what you're doing. If you look at your day and you're going to work, and maybe a challenge occurs at work, and say you want to be a top leader one day. Let's just say you want to be a CEO of the company one day, and day in and day out you're facing challenges at work. So if you're not keeping your goals in mind, then you're saying, this is so frustrating, like this is just making my days longer, more difficult, whatever it may be. But if you have your goal in mind, saying, I want to be a top leader, I want to be that CEO, these challenges are good. They're teaching you how to overcome them. You can look about, how can I be creative? How can I go about these the best way? How can I build the morale of the team? And these are all just stepping stones and learning opportunities for your future. Do you see how that mindset changes? So even though your activities may not change, your mindset can. And in the chunk of the day where you can determine what you do with it outside of work, what are you doing? What are you spending your time doing? Maybe family's one of your top 5 values. Are you spending time checking on your family? Are you building connections with your friends? Are you calling them consistently? Maybe inner peace is one of your values. Are you meditating? Are you taking time for yourself? Is social media linked to one of your values? How long are you spending on social media? What is that getting you? Is that linked to a value or a goal? I mean, now you can look at the screen time on your phones and you can see how much time you're spending on certain apps. So, for example, there's some people I've seen that are spending hours on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever it may be. If you're spending those hours on it and it's not linked to any values or goals, it could actually be pulling time, pulling attention, pulling energy, putting you in a negative space. So, with the start of this new year, it's really important to always reassess these three: your time, values, and goals. And you don't have to do it at the new year. You could do it. Some of the top entrepreneurs, the top professionals, the top leaders, even the top unprofessional, just people who are really happy in their lives, reassess this. I've heard of people who reassess this on the hour, and they're one of the top people in the world. I've heard of people weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly, whatever makes sense for your schedule and whatever you can fit in, I would recommend doing, because it's always good to realign. So with this delta, look at, is your time and energy focused on your values and your goals? What are the opportunities you've found? What do you want to focus on this year, this month, this week, today? Set things that can help you check back to this. So in my phone, for example, I'll try and give you guys some actionable things you can do. I have, and I'm not familiar with Android, but Apple phones are really good with this, where now in your notes, or you can do a reminder list, you can write things, and there's a little bubble that you can check it off, and you can check it and recheck it and continuously go on. So every day I have 5 or 6 things that I want to do every day. To me, if I do it every day, that's a successful day. And I can share it right here. So one of mine is at least 7.5 hours of sleep. So there's been studies that prove 7.5 hours is the ideal amount of sleep. 7.5 to, I believe, 9.5. Over 9.5, they actually have found a link to higher mortality, which I try not to take too seriously. There are days that I sleep in extra if it's on the weekend, or, your body does need it sometimes. But I try and keep it between 7.5 to 9.5 hours. So that's a check if I did it. Hydrate. One of my goals has just been to hydrate more, because I've noticed, water is such an important part of the body. So hydration is one of mine. Another one I have is, I noticed a value of mine was friends and family. And I noticed I can get carried away with what's going on in the day-to-day and not check up on my friends and family and grow those connections as much as I'd like to. So every day I have a question: have you checked in with a loved one? Have you had a connection with a loved one today? Have you spoken to a loved one? So every day I'm trying to do that. Move my body. I used to be a college athlete. I used to have all these goals, and I think more recently I just want to be healthy. And mentally, I think exercise is a great value to have, or health, I should say, is a great value to have, both mentally, physically, and exercise just helps me get there personally. So for me, it's move my body, and that could be as simple as go on a long walk. I've been really into long walks lately, or long runs, just slow jogging for an hour or so. I've just built up to that level. Or, a little HIIT, a little weight training, whatever it may be. Whatever I eat, dancing even. I've moved it less away from aesthetics. I think it used to be more focused on that, and I realized that wasn't a goal of mine. But a goal of mine was to feel good and to be energized, and moving my body helps me get there. And another one of mine is to eat to fuel my body. So I've definitely had struggles with my relationship with food throughout my life, just being a college athlete in soccer. We actually had weigh-ins, so we had nutritionists that would weigh us and tell us if we should go on a diet because we gained 5 pounds. We wouldn't have a fat percentage versus body percentage, and we were lifting 3 times a week, playing like 3 to 4 games a week, and practicing 6 times a week. So muscle was being put on people's bodies, and that wasn't being taken into account. So a lot of people grew negative relationships with food, and I have really been trying to focus on looking at food as fuel. And it is. And your decisions, I'll look at a bag of potato chips or, a whole food unprocessed, and I'll be like, okay, which one is going to fuel my body? And something that's less processed will. But hey, maybe I'm craving potato chips or something it may be. I'll pop some actual whole potatoes in the air fryer, and I'll get more energy from those than something that's processed. So it's helped me make good decisions without putting a priority on aesthetics, but rather health, which is a value of mine. So I don't want anyone copying what mine is, but I did want to give just a few examples of things that I've been doing, because I think it's good to have attainable goals or things that you can easily add into your life. So that's it. That's a short podcast for the day, but I did just want to give everyone the opportunity to look at these, because I think it's really helped me to be able to reanalyze these every once in a while and make sure that I am doing what I set out to do. And I hope everyone survived 2020 mentally, physically. If you had any loved ones that were lost, I'm deeply apologetic. I hope your mindset into 2021 can be better. I hope everyone is able to achieve what they set out to do. I truly think it's going to be a great year, and I hope that no matter what comes anyone's way, you're able to conquer it and master it and continuously be happy, healthy, and safe. Let me know what you think about this video. Like everyone else, we do have goals, and one of the goals in this podcast is we'd like to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So by 2022, we want to reach 1,000 subscribers on all our platforms. So please, if you're listening to this, go subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. If you're typically listen to it on the podcast, that's great, because there's stuff we put on there that we don't put on YouTube, vice versa. So please follow us on all of them. I'd really appreciate it. And give us your feedback. Let us know what else you want to hear, see, and we'll try and produce content and bring in speakers that you guys are interested in, because really our goal is to help you. We want to provide mentorship and advice to our audience, regardless of what their network is, regardless of their social status, their money, their network, their position. We want it to be accessible to everyone, because I think a network is so, so valuable. So however we can help you guys this year, we want to do it. So let us know, and we're excited to continue another year of What the Tech Am I Doing? Thank you for listening. Have a great day.